my mother had a great saying that was this. There's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
You know, and the truth is the sum of everybody's point of view. You know, you know, three people can look at the same thing. It's like that anecdote where they're talking about four blind men are all touching the elephant, and they say they're arguing. You know, yeah, why call the elephant? Because this thing is more like a snake. You know, and he's holding a trunk. You know, and this one, no, it's like an oak tree. It's huge and round and just wrinkled, but it's like an oak tree. That's the leg, and one of them has the tail. You know, one has the ear, but you know, they don't know what the other people know. But if you put all of their interpretation together, you get the truth. You know, but I think some people are so committed and so narrowly focused to how they see the world that they deny every other possible way of seeing it. So in that way, my mother's a genius. And it, you know,
it's like old school wisdom.
Old school wisdom. That's and it's still applicable. You know, she's her wisdom comes up all the time. She's been, you know, has passed on a dozen years ago, but she's still, you know, she's still so present in our lives. You know, because we are raising children and our children are raising children. But that, I mean, wisdom is wisdom. If it's good, it's gonna last.
Yeah, it sticks around.
You know, Dylan lyrics. You know, I do an exercise in my poetry classes where students use song lyrics, and I ask them to get rid of like half of the lyrics on the page, judging and comparing words to each other. You know, which are the most important words? What can you not afford to lose? So they get rid of repetition, and then, you know, words that they think don't really mean anything, and they're trying to save words. Like high school kids always try to save profanity. If they choose rap songs with profanity, they're gonna save that MF, you know, whatever they have to do. And then they realize that after the exercise that word didn't really help the meaning of the song at all. Right. It was just in there for color or for shock value. But if you can distill the lyrics down to, like, say 1/4 of what you started with, you know, you started with 40 words, and you cut it down to 20, and then cut it again to 10, you know, it'll still make sense. It'll still have some value if they were good to start with.
See the same thing in theater.
Dylan, you know, Stevie Wonder, Curtis Mayfield. I mean, there are some iconic lyricists, writers, artists that transcend time. And you can play their music today, you know, maybe change the tempo or something, and even the novice will go, you know, who is that? Wow, that's great. That's good stuff.
Man, I'll tell you something. It happens in here all the time. I mean, and just because of my age, you know, I know a lot of the old stuff, but we'll have people in here that are in their 20s, and I'll play like Al Green, I'll play Bob Seger, play all these old cats, you know. It's like, what is that, man? That's great. You know, a lot of it's stuff that's not getting a lot of airtime anymore, and a lot of the people in their 20s and 30s aren't even on the air anyway. You listen to it, you know, they're, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's weird. And then what's interesting is you can play a crap song, a song that was crap when it came out, but maybe it got a little, you know, special attention because it was on MTV or something like that, right? And you won't get the same response. Like it didn't, you know, hit down deep or touch something special,
right?
Or have the right amount of salt and pepper that makes it like universal or transcend. And it's interesting. I mean, for years now, that's been that way. I mean, as the instructors around here, we'll like look over at each other and go, yeah, there it is again.
And I think, you know? And that's not even a new thing. I think that there's a lot of music out there that sold lots of copies, but it had a good beat.
Right.
It was great to dance to. It had the, you know, it was a great salsa song. But lyrically,
right. Yeah, like, are you really listening to the lyrics of Gangnam Style?
No.
Right.
You hope not.
You know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But dang, you can dance to it, man.
Dance to it. What is he saying? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, but I love it.
Do you understand what Mick Jagger said a minute ago? I don't understand any of that.
Just mumbling, but yeah. But the music, that guitar riff, my God. Yeah, I mean, and you know, and I think that's why musicians, when we were younger, if it was a band, that means that there was at least one drummer, and you had a horn section, and you had guitar players, and you had people writing that music. You had somebody on the synthesizer, but there were real instruments on stage. And now people will do whole concerts, and there's not a musician on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do we get from that, with all those artists, with all those skills, creating that final product, to this thing now, where a former, Disney star is like, has a soundtrack or music underneath them, and they have 100,000 people in front of them going crazy.
Yeah, right.
And think that, this is the second coming. It's so good. Like, what happened?
Well, man, to me, it's got to be something like with what you were talking about a minute ago. It's like, you go into this reservation, all these kids have these same jeans and shirts. And then you said something about they think it was their idea. Mm-hmm. See, to me, I was reading this the other day, and this was a new term for me, the Mandela effect, mm-hmm. where you have this, that's a term for collectively, a group of people has a memory, a false memory.
Pervasive idea.
Like, this is the way things really happened, and we all agree on it, but really it didn't happen that way.
Right.
And, if you have that, like in the case of those kids, like, no, this is our idea to wear these jeans and shirts and everything. And in their minds, yeah, it probably is. And maybe it was their idea after being bombarded with 40,000 ads on it.
Right.
Or they thought it was, but
right.
that's because it was the first thing that came to their mind. But what is the stuff that comes to your mind? Where did it come from?
Yeah. What would come to your mind if that wasn't there?
That's the thing about culture, though, is that it's all that way.
Yeah, it's a soup.
It's all learned patterns of behavior in some sense. And then you have to decide, well, how do I put some kind of value statement on these different patterns?
Yeah.
How do I decide what is objectively good and what is not?
What frightened me reading that the other day, though,
difficult.
was that I'm sitting here going, okay, yeah, that's good. I see how that could happen with a group of people. But how many false memories are you creating, Chip? How much of your past are you sort of just
Revised.
coloring in a little bit here and there? Yeah. It's like my own revisionist history, but hey, man, it's got to be true because I'm speaking it right.